From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.
Good day, this is Dateline Malacañang, and here are the news. On the top story, the Philippine Department of Migrant Workers or DMW is monitoring the situation of overseas Filipino workers or OFWs in Taiwan following a strong earthquake that rocked the island just before 8 in the morning today. The DMW's three migrant workers offices, or MWOs, in Taiwan immediately activated protocols with Filipino communities, leaders, relevant Taiwan government agencies, as well as employers and trade associations to ascertain the safety and status of Taiwan-based OFWs. The Taiwan MWOs are prepared to provide immediate assistance to affected OFWs as necessary. Taiwan Central Weather Administration reported the magnitude 7.2 earthquake occurred at 7:58 this morning, with its epicenter some 25 kilometers southeast of Hualien County. As of December 2023, there are 67,475 OFWs in Taiwan.
Dateline Malacañang.
President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has ordered the creation of a National Organizing Council or NOC for the country's hosting of the Association of Southeast Asian Nations or ASEAN Summit meetings in 2026. Administrative Order or AO-17 signed by the President on March 22nd states that the creation of a National Organizing Council is imperative to organize, manage, and supervise all major and ancillary programs, activities, and projects related to the hosting of ASEAN 2026 in the country. Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin will serve as the ASEAN NOC chairperson and Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo as Vice Chair for ASEAN Political Community. Trade and Industry Secretary Alfredo Pascual as Vice Chair for ASEAN Economic Community, and Social Welfare and Development Secretary Rex Gatchalian as Vice Chair for ASEAN Socio-Cultural Community. Members of the ASEAN NOC include the Secretaries of the Department of the Interior and Local Government or DILG, Department of National Defense or DND, Department of Public Works and Highways or DPWH, Department of Transportation or DOTR, Department of Tourism or DOT, Department of Budget and Management or DBM, and the Philippine Presidential Communications Office or PCO. Local chief executives of localities selected to serve as sites for the ASEAN 2026 hosting may also be invited as special members of the ASEAN NOC. During the 43rd ASEAN Summit in Jakarta last year, the President accepted the regional bloc's request to be the ASEAN chair in 2026 or a year earlier than scheduled. The ASEAN chair is responsible not just for the leaders level summits but all the other gatherings for the bloc.
Dateline Malacañang.
Kanyang announced that Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. has appointed lawyer Erwin Erfe as the new Deputy Chief Public Attorney of the Public Attorney's Office or PAO. Philippine Presidential Communications Office or PCO Secretary Cheloy Garafil confirmed Erfe's new appointment in a text message sent to Palace reporters on Tuesday evening. PAO Chief Presida Ruesta Acosta first announced Erfe's promotion in an ex post and shared his appointment papers. Based on his appointment papers signed by the President on March 27th, RFA replaced former PAO Deputy Chief Public Attorney Silvestre Mosing. RFA served as director of PAO's Forensic Laboratory Division before this appointment.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr.'s performance and trust rating significantly dropped in the latest Pulse Asia survey. In its Ulat ng Bayan survey conducted from the 6th to the 10th of March, the President's performance rating fell 13 percentage points from 68% in December 2023 to 55%. The Chief Executive suffered a huge decrease in approval ratings in Mindanao with a huge 22 percentage point drop from 62% to 40%. Among classes, President Marcos also saw a decline among Class E, falling to 48% from the 68% registered in December. The survey also showed that President Marcos' trust rating also fell to 57% from the 73%. Pulse Asia noted that his trust rating in Mindanao dipped significantly from 70% to a dismal 38%, or to a decimal 38%, with the sharpest decline among Class E from 74% to 45%. Vice President Sara Duterte also had lower performance and trust ratings, both suffering a 7 percentage point decline from 74% to 67% and 78% to 71% respectively. The Vice President's approval ratings saw double-digit drops in Metro Manila from 64% to 47% and the Visayas from 66% to 54%, while registering a single-digit decline in Luzon from 74% to 66%. Duterte also suffered a double-digit drop in approval ratings among Class E from 79% to 65%. Vice President Duterte's trust rating also dropped significantly in Metro Manila from 76% to 60%. The Visayas from 83% to 72%, and Luzon from 69% to 62%, but remained almost the same in Mindanao from 96% to 95%.
Dateline Malacañang.
Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns General Andres Centino defended the provision under the newly signed Executive Order Number 57, allowing foreign aid to beef up the Philippines' maritime defense. In an interview on the sidelines of a forum in Quezon City, Centino said accepting foreign grants or donations to help Manila strengthen its maritime capabilities would not equate to foreign intervention. Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. signed on March 25 EO number 57, which reorganized the National Coast Watch Council or NCWC to the National Maritime Council or NMC as a central body in charge of formulating policies and strategies to ensure a unified, coordinated, and effective governance framework for the country's maritime security and domain awareness. Section 7 of the EO authorizes the NMC to accept donations, contributions, grants, bequests, or gifts from domestic or foreign sources for purposes relevant to their mandates and functions. The NMC is chaired by Executive Secretary Lucas Bersamin. The NCWC Secretariat, which was renamed as a Presidential Office for Maritime Concerns, or POMC, will be headed by Centino. Under Section 8 of the EO, Centino will be the newest member of the National Task Force for the West Philippine Sea, or NTF-WPS, to represent the NMC. The NTF-WPS shall be attached to the NMC and receive policy guidance from the President through the Council.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, said the enactment of the Maritime Zone Act is vital for the Philippines to protect its fish stocks, oil and gas reserves, and other maritime resources from over-exploitation. Speaking at the Waypoints Forum in Quezon City, DFA Deputy Assistant Secretary for Maritime and Ocean Affairs, Maria Elena Cristina Maningat, said the law would reflect the government's commitment to upholding the country's rights under international laws, specifically the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, or UNCLOS, and the 2016 arbitral ruling. Maningat said its enactment would also send a strong signal that the Philippines is an international law-abiding nation, as it would harmonize domestic laws with the UNCLOS. UP Institute for Maritime Affairs and Law of the Sea Director J. Batombacal said the law would serve as a form of arbitral ruling enforcement the public is looking for. National Mapping and Resource Information Authority Deputy Administrator Efren Karandang, who is also a member of the UN Commission on the Limits of the Continental Shelf, agreed that the law is essential as a follow-through act to Manila ratifying the UNCLOS. In the same forum, Presidential Assistant for Maritime Concerns and former Armed Forces of the Philippines Chief of Staff General Andres Centino defended the soon-to-be enacted law amid China's objections. Centino is optimistic that the law would be enacted before the third State of the Nation address of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. in July. China has repeatedly protested the passage of Maritime Zones Bill, saying it would escalate and expand the disputes between Beijing and Manila due to the inclusion of the Kalayaan Island Group and the Scarborough Shoal. It also warned that the law would jeopardize the larger interest of bilateral relations. Days after the March water cannon incident in the Ayungin Shoal, a Chinese official spoke to a group of Filipino journalists on the condition of Chatham House rules and bared that they are in the process of a political consultation on the subject of the proposed law. But Tombaka stood pat that Beijing has no business in objecting Manila's move to enact the law. He said the fact that Beijing is objecting to this domestic legislation in a way is already getting close to attempting foreign intervention. Senator Francis Tolentino, sponsor of Senate Bill number 2492, or the Philippine Maritime Zones Act, previously said China's opposition is futile and will not deter Filipinos from upholding their rights under international law. China does not recognize the 2016 arbitral award, which ruled that its claims to historic rights in the South China Sea are without legal effect.
Dateline Malacañang.
Philippine Department of National Defense, or DND, reminded Filipinos not to lose sight of China's illegal activities in the West Philippine Sea, or WPS, as debates heat up over the so-called Gentleman's Agreement, reportedly made by the former administration with Beijing. In an open letter, DND Secretary Gilberto Chodoro Jr. reminded Filipinos not to fall into the trap of refocusing the debate, which he said is part of Chinese propaganda on the issue, thereby freeing and allowing them to continue with their illegal activities in the country's exclusive economic zone, or EEZ. Former presidential spokesperson Harry Roque earlier said former President Rodrigo R. Duterte reportedly had a verbal agreement with China not to construct and repair Philippine facilities in the WPS. This includes sending construction materials for BRP Sierra Madre, or LS-57. Roque also clarified that this agreement does not involve the towing or removal of the BRP Sierra Madre from Ayungin Shoal. Prior to this, National Security Advisor Eduardo Año talked with with United States National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan on Monday, where they discussed the recent spate of illegal, coercive, aggressive, and deceptive actions by agents of the China Coast Guard and the Chinese maritime militia in the country's EEZ. In a statement, the National Security Council, or NSC, said ANYA expresses appreciation for the United States' continued assurances and reaffirmation of its ironclad commitment to the Philippines-U.S. alliance. The NSC added that both national security advisors look forward to the upcoming inaugural Japan-Philippines-United States Trilateral Leaders Summit in Washington, D.C. next week.
Dateline Malacañang.
The chairperson of the Philippine House Committee on Overseas Workers Affairs on Tuesday urged the Philippine Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, to lobby for the pardon or commutation of sentences of overseas Filipinos convicted of crimes as the holy month of Ramadan draws to a close. In a statement, Kabayan Party List Representative Ron Salo said the DFA could intercede on behalf of the convicted overseas Filipinos, noting that Ramadan is a favorable time to seek pardon in Muslim-majority countries. He described Ramadan as a period of reflection, forgiveness, and renewal in the Islamic faith. Salo recalled the traditional acts of royal clemency by Muslim leaders during Ramadan, which include the commutation of sentences or complete pardons. He added that such gestures of goodwill align with the values of compassion and forgiveness emphasized during the holy month. Salo cited March 2023 data from the DFA revealing that 83 overseas Filipinos are on death row, while 1,267 are detained, with the majority of these cases in the Middle East and Muslim countries. He also called for a concerted effort from all stakeholders, including other government agencies such as the Department of Migrant Workers, Overseas Workers Welfare Administration, Commission on Filipinos Overseas, non-government organizations, and the families of the convicted individuals to support the DFA in their diplomatic endeavors.
Dateline Malacañang.
Geophysical and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, said the municipality of Guian in eastern Samar province recorded the highest heat index in the country, registering 46 degrees Celsius. The said heat index, PAGASA added, was considered dangerous and can cause heat stroke due to continued activity. Meanwhile, two other cities in the country registered dangerous heat index levels. Catarman in northern Samar and Cotabato City in Maguindanao both recorded 42 degrees Celsius. Pagasa noted that heat indices from 42 degrees Celsius to 51 degrees Celsius may cause heat cramps and heat exhaustion. The Weather Bureau advised the public to limit their time outdoors and drink plenty of water. Based on Pagasa's daily heat index report, Metro Manila will experience heat indices ranging from 33 degrees Celsius to 41 degrees Celsius, meaning the public should exercise extreme caution.
Dateline Malacañang.
Related news, the Philippine Department of Health, or DOH, warned the public against heat-related illnesses that become more prevalent with extreme temperatures. This was after the Philippine Atmospheric, Geophysical, and Astronomical Services Administration, or PAGASA, recorded high temperatures over 41 degrees Celsius in multiple locations from March 28 to April 1, 2024. The same trend is forecast until April 3. The Pagasa classifies temperatures ranging from 33 to 41 degrees Celsius as extreme caution and temperatures from 42 to 51 degrees Celsius as danger. In a radio interview on Tuesday, DOH Undersecretary Enrique Tayag urged other schools to consider the students' conditions as other schools, and local government units have already suspended face-to-face classes due to hot weather. Tayag also advised schools to open their windows during classes and to remind their students regularly to stay hydrated. Earlier, the DOH released a public advisory on what to do in case anyone experiences symptoms of heat stroke. The person concerned must be moved to a shaded and cool area and must be provided ventilation. The person's outer clothing may be removed and cold compresses, ice packs, cold water, or cold wet cloth must be applied on the skin, especially the head, face, neck, armpits, wrists, ankles, and groin. The DOH also encouraged the public to regularly monitor temperature reports from the Pagasa and to take preventive measures against or to take preventive measures. The DOH also encouraged public to regularly monitor temperature reports from the Pag-asa. These include drinking plenty of water, avoiding consumption of iced tea, soda, coffee, or alcoholic drinks, limiting time spent outdoors between 10 in the morning and 4 in the afternoon, usage of protection against sunburn such as hats, umbrellas, and sunblock, and wearing of loose-fitting, lightweight clothing.
Dateline Malacañang.
Department of Health, the Philippine Department of Health or DOH underscored the importance of intermediate health facilities where prompt care for illnesses and injuries could be given, particularly to the poor across the country. Health Secretary Teodoro Herbosa made the pronouncement during a groundbreaking ceremony of the first Bagong Urgent Care and Ambulatory Service or Bukas Center in Tubao, La Union. Tubao is a fourth-class municipality located in the 2nd District of the province of La Union. The facility is the first Bukas Center to rise in the Ilocos region. The DOH said it aims to provide accessible and quality healthcare services aligned with the directives of Philippine President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr. through the establishment of 28 Bukas centers in the country to serve the 28 million poorest Filipinos by the year 2028. DOH Undersecretary Maria Rosario C. Vergere, DOH Ilocos Center for Health Development Regional Director Paula Paz Sidionco, Assistant Regional Director Rodolfo Antonio Albornoz, La Union 2nd District Representative Dante Garcia, Ilocos Region, Ilocos Training and Regional Medical Center Chief Eduardo Badwa, and Tubao Mayor Jonaline Fontanilla Piayas also attended the ceremony. Last March 6, the DOH opened the first Bukas Center in the Philippines in Santo Tomas, Pampanga. It is hosted by the Jose B. Lingad Memorial General Hospital. It has laboratories with comprehensive diagnostic capabilities, and it offers general surgery, oral maxillofacial surgery, otorhinolaryngologic surgery, and reproductive health services.
Dateline Malacañang.
The Philippine Department of Environment and Natural Resources has suspended all Environmental Compliance Certificate or ECC applications for projects located in protected areas or PA. In a press briefing after visiting the Mount Apo Natural Park in Digos City, Davao del Sur, DENR Secretary Maria Antonia Yulo Loizaga announced that all ECC applications will be reviewed first before approval by the Environmental Management Bureau or EMB. During the visit with Senator Ronald De La Rosa and Presidential Assistant for Eastern Mindanao, Leo Magno, Loizaga said 2 resorts built inside a protected area of the natural park were found to have incomplete documents and permits for operation. The DENR has not issued any closure order while evaluation is ongoing. Loizaga issued the memorandum dated March 26 to DENR regional offices and field operations nationwide, as well as to the bureau directors of the EMB and the BMB. The memorandum contains directives on the strict monitoring of its existing structures and the approval of ECCs for projects within protected areas. DENR regional offices were directed to conduct an inventory of existing structures within PAs and evaluate compliance with environmental regulations and standards. They were also directed to comprehensively review all ECCs issued for projects within PAs. Loizaga said, the directive is consistent with the objective of the Republic Act 11038, or the Expanded National Integrated Protected Area System, or ENIPAS, recognizing the critical importance of protecting and preserving the ecological integrity of all natural, biological, physical diversities and unique features of the environment within PAs. For ECCs of environmentally critical projects, the memorandum states that clearance of the DENR secretary or her duly authorized representative shall still be required. Loizaga issued the memorandum after a photo of a resort within the famous Chocolate Hills, a protected area in Bohol province, went viral in social media in February.
Dateline Malacañang.
Commission on Elections, or COMELEC, announced that internet voting would be the primary method of casting votes for overseas voters in the 2025 midterm polls. In an interview, COMELEC spokesperson John Rex Laudianco noted that Filipino registered voters who are living or working in other countries will be able to cast their votes on their mobile phones, gadgets, or personal computers. Meanwhile, Laudianco said in-person and mail-in voting will be implemented in countries where internet voting is restricted. Based on data from the Office for Overseas Voting, or OFOV, the country's posts where overseas voting will be conducted still via in-person voting in Philippine embassies and consulates, or mail postal voting are China, Beijing, Chongqing, Guangzhou, Shanghai, Xiamen, Timor-Leste, which includes Dili, Papua New Guinea in Port Moresby, Myanmar in Yangon, Turkey in Ankara, Istanbul, Russia in Moscow, Nigeria in Abuja, Jordan in Amman, Lebanon in Beirut, Syria in Damascus, Iran in Tehran, and Libya in Tripoli. Meanwhile, 4 companies have submitted their bid documents for the second competitive public bidding for the online voting and counting system, internet voting, on Tuesday. The firms are Indra Joint Venture, or JV, of SMS Global and Sequent Tech, JV of Votes, EPLDT, eBiz, and JV of Ama Group, Dasan K Voting. Laudianco noted that the Special Bids and Awards Committee, or SBAC, is currently evaluating the voluminous documents submitted by the bidders. In case the committee declared another failure of bidding, the COMELEC spokesperson added that they would proceed with the negotiated procurement pursuant to Republic Act 9184, or the Government Procurement Reform Act. The project's approved budget for the contract ABC is 465.8 million Philippine peso.
Dateline Malacañang.
For today's Dateline Malacañang for Radyo Pilipinas World Service, this has been Bea Gaza.
From the Presidential Palace, Manila, Dateline Malacañang.